All right, so we are back with the divisional round of the 2025-26 NFL playoffs. We had pretty much six really good games last week. The only one that kind of got away at the end was the Steelers-Texans game, but for 3 quarters, that game was extremely close. So, I mean, one of the best wild card rounds of, I would say, honestly, all time. I mean, the Rams Panthers game, I mean, for a second there, the Panthers were a minute away from winning that game. They were a stop away from winning that game and moving on. And same thing with the Packers Bears. I predicted the Packers to win. I was wrong, but I mean they were up 21 to what 3 at halftime. So I mean that game really, if the Packers knew how to just close out a game, they're moving on, and the Panthers are a stop away from moving on. So that was interesting. Obviously, the 49ers upset the Eagles at home. That's so crazy. So many injuries, and they moved on. On the AFC side, uh, I wouldn't really say there were any upsets. Patriots, I think most people thought they were going to win. And I feel like the other two games, Steelers, Texans, Jags, Bills, were pretty even. So I saw a lot of people predicting both teams to win those games. Um, I got that side entirely correct. So we went two wrong. So we went 4 for 6 in the wild card round. Easily could have been 6 for 6 if teams just knew how to close out games. Talking to you Packers, but it's okay. On to the divisional round here. We have mirror seeding. We have the 6 and 1 seeds going together and the 2 and 5 seeds playing against each other. So I think it's going to be another great week of football. We have a lot of great defensive teams and a lot of great offensive teams. There's not really a team that's kind of like meh in both. So that's great. Great for football. We're going to start off here with the 49ers heading down to Seattle to face the rested 1 seed Seattle Seahawks. Niners are banged up. Same story as it's been the last few years. They're hurt. They lost George Kittle with a ruptured Achilles in their win to the Eagles. So that's a monumental loss for the 49ers, and they still do not have Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, or any of their really true threats that can give them an edge. They are missing a lot of people. Yes, they have CMC. Yes, they have Brock Purdy. They were held in check in Week 18 just 2 weeks ago. So, very interesting. I don't know how much that is going to change 2 weeks later. Yes, they're going to have Trent Williams. He did not play very well. He allowed quite a few pressures. His pressure rate was pretty high, so he's struggling. So is he really that big of a piece this week, or is he more of a liability because he's out there injured still? I don't know. Ricky Pearsall did not practice at all last week. He had an estimated limited practice designation for their walkthrough, but that's, you can't really take much with that. It's a walkthrough, and it was an estimation for Tuesday, so I would not take that for much. Still need to go through the rest of the week. It's a short week. Like we saw, the Niners played on Sunday, and now they're playing Saturday. So, short week for them. Again, Seattle has an entire extra week of rest. So Seattle should be nice and rested for this, while the Niners are shorthanded and tired. With that being said, the spread is 45.5 points. I have Seattle taking this one 27-13. I think something that is going to go into this game is simply the rest between these two teams. Seattle just got a bye week. The Niners playing off of another short week. I've heard a lot of people complain about it, but, that's your perks of getting the 1 seed. You get the home seed, the home playoffs. You get the bye week, So that, So Kittle's Achilles, he's out for that game. I think the Seahawks run game is going to be another big thing. They ran for over 180 yards in that game just 2 weeks ago. I think you're going to see some of the same. I would like to see Seattle's offense be a little bit more efficient, though, because 13 points against this team is not exactly playoff offense. I would like to see them, put up a good game passing and running. I would like to see guys like Shaheed more involved down the field. I would like to see Seattle score some touchdowns. With that being said, they left a good 10 15 points on the board in this game last week after the two missed field goals and really the missed easy read in the flat to Charbonnet in that first quarter where they turned the ball over. So that's, 13 points that they left off the board right there. This game easily could have been 26, 27 to 3. But I think San Francisco finds a way to score a little bit more than last time, but I think Seattle still takes care of business, being the more rested team and the less injured team. Moving on, we're going to go to the AFC side just to give some AFC some love. We're going to go to the Bills and Broncos game. Josh Allen is in a world of his own. This guy is an entire game controller. He will win you the game single-handedly, and we saw that against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look at that last drive on just his decisions, and then obviously that tush push where it was fourth and inches, and then he took it 10 yards, almost scored, and then they took it in the next play with him. He makes the right reads, he makes the right throws, he's accurate, he's smart, and he doesn't turn the ball over. That is huge. They lost Gabe Davis and Shavers to season-ending injuries, which means Shakir is going to be the clear-cut number one guy. They have Keon Coleman, but I don't know how much he provides for them. Obviously, Kincaid and Knox, but those are tight ends. It's going to be hard to get them out there at the same time unless you're going to run jumbo, but it's just difficult with that type of personnel to get an offense rolling. I think we're going to see a lot of James Cook, if possible, outside maybe. The Broncos defense is so fierce. But like I said, the thing I'm going to be looking for this week is the effectiveness and the efficiency of these number one seeds. We see the number one seed again with the Broncos here off the bye. How are they going to come out on offense and defense? Are they going to be quick? Are they going to be a little rusty? Are they going to be a little bit behind? We'll see. Josh Allen can take over this game and win. That is something that I'm looking at and looking for. I don't think Denver is a true one seed. I hate to say it, but I don't think they're as good as people are saying or thinking or seeing. I don't think their record defines what they are. I have Buffalo winning the upset here 27-20 and moving on to the AFC Conference Championship game. We're going to continue with the Texans and Patriots here. Texans played an amazing defensive battle against the Steelers last week. Unfortunately, the liability for them continues to be their offense. It's too inconsistent. We're seeing them get turnovers and get punts and get all of these different things, and they just cannot score at all. How are they going to score on offense is the question that I think most fans and really just executives and everyone's asking. How are the Texans going to be able to score on offense? We know what their defense can do. They're proven. They've done it all year. How are they going to be able to score on offense? They have the worst red zone offense in the entire league. That is not... You don't want to be the worst of any category while you're in the playoffs. You just don't. It's not sustainable, and these better teams are not going to let you win games being the last in any category. I don't care if it's special teams. I don't care if it's penalties. I don't care if it's run game or pass game or yards per game, points per game. It does not matter. These statistics and low rankings are not going to win you playoff games. They need to be better on offense. Red zone offense in their own side of the field. It doesn't matter. They need to be better. They need to score touchdowns instead of field goals, because field goals are not going to win you the game against this high-powered Patriots offense. I don't care how good your defense is. If the Patriots go down there every drive and kick a field goal, they'll put up 20 points. And if your offense cannot score anything or just field goals, I'm going to take the better offense. Patriots sacked Justin Herbert 6 times. Yes, I know the Chargers' offensive line is abysmal. I know they're terrible. 6 sacks in a wild card game against a quarterback of that caliber is to be noted. I think I think New England's defense is going to be extremely energetic for this game. They just came off an insane performance against Justin Herbert. I mean, 6 sacks in any game against anyone is insane. They're going to be looking to sack CJ Stroud or pressure him, get him flustered as much as they can. And if they get anywhere near the amount of pressure, they had 30 pressures on 31 dropbacks against Justin Herbert. That is insane. If they even get half of that, I think the Texans are going to have a really, really difficult time trying to win this game. I think it's gonna be a low-scoring game though. So if you're one of those sports bettors, this is not sports betting advice, but I personally would take the under in this game. I think it's gonna be super low scoring. I think the Patriots end up walking out of here with a 17 to 10 win. I just don't like that Texans offense at all. I don't think they're consistent enough to be able to keep up with the Patriots offense. That defense is so legit. One thing I will say, if the Texans can score on defense, I think they end up winning. If the Texans did not score on defense against the Steelers, that game is a lot different. They scored 14 of their 30 points on defense. And probably more helped them get the right yardage and the right field position to go and kick a field goal or score a touchdown. They scored half their points on defense last week. If they can score that, they will win this game. But if they're just getting turnovers and their offense isn't doing anything with it, I think New England walks out of here with the win. Moving on, we have the Rams traveling to Soldier Field. This will be a very, very interesting game. I don't think either of these teams are honestly as good as they are on paper. I think the Rams can be, and they just aren't. I don't know what's going on with them. Like I've said before, since that Seahawks game, they've been really cold. It's been really weird. Obviously, they almost lost to the Panthers last week. They were about a minute away or an interception or turnover away from losing to the Panthers in the first round. A team under 500. They were a minute away from losing that game. I know a win's a win in the playoffs, but that's something to look at and kind of grind your teeth a little bit, because that's not where you want to be going into the divisional round, because obviously the Bears are a much better team than the Carolina Panthers are. And we've seen the Chicago offense and this Rams offense, but we've seen the Chicago offense. If they can get going earlier than in the fourth quarter, I think the Bears have a real chance of walking out of here with the win. It's going to be really cold. It's going to be windy. This is not something the Rams are exactly prepared for. They play in an indoor stadium. They play in a place where it's 80 degrees year-round. They play in a place where wind is not a factor, and they're going to be going into a polar opposite environment against a rowdy Bears crowd that just came back against a divisional rival. The Bears are going to come out of this thing ready to roll. As we saw, Matthew Stafford got hurt in that game against the Panthers. He had his finger jammed on a passing attempt late in that second quarter, right before halftime. He came back and he went 2 for 10 on passing attempts after the break. You know, he had a good last drive, but really other than that, he struggled. So I think it's really important to see what Matthew Stafford would get. If that finger lingers at all, if it is inflamed or if it bugs him or if it's re-aggravated in that game, I think that could be a huge liability for this Rams team that ends their season. Matthew Stafford is the heart of that team. He's the MVP of the league, in my opinion. He's their bread and butter. He gets the ball to Puka. He gets the ball to Devontae Adams, and he is the motor in that offense. And without him, I don't think the Rams are a very good team. This is going to be a shootout. If I was betting on this game, I would be taking the over personally. Like I said, this is not sports betting advice, but these are two high-powered offenses with not the greatest defenses. Yes, it's going to be cold, but I think these offenses are going to put up a lot of fireworks this Sunday. This is a really tough one. Really tough one to just talk about because I think this game could go either way. It's just there's a lot of factors. The Bears need to start hot. The Rams need to start hot. We've seen both of these teams kind of just go cold. Some points they look like the best team of all time, and then at some points they look like a wild card team that's a first round exit. So I think it's really going to be interesting what version of these teams we're going to see. I think the Bears are at an advantage, obviously being at home, but also I think just with the quarterback plays of recently, we've seen Matthew Stafford kind of turn the ball over the last few weeks quite a bit against that. The Atlanta game, he turned the ball over quite a few times. He's turned the ball over against the Panthers. So, I mean, just a few turnover-prone games, and this is my matchup of the week. I think something that's really big to look out for is Matthew Stafford's recent trend of turning the ball over and the Bears' ability to get turnovers. That's huge. When you have a turnover-prone team playing a turnover-plus team, that's when things get interesting. If Matthew Stafford turns the ball over multiple times, I think the Bears will win this game. If he throws 2 interceptions, I think the Bears win this game. If he throws 1 interception, I think it could go either way. I think if he plays a clean game, the Rams probably end up winning this one just because of how efficient their team is on offense. But that's a huge if because they've been turning the ball over recently and just being inefficient on offense. Their defense isn't the greatest, but we'll see. However, Caleb Williams is a madman in my opinion, and I'm going to take... It's not really an upset, but odds-wise it is. I'm taking the Bears to win this one, 41-38 against the Rams and moving on to the conference championship game. I think it's going to be really, really interesting just to see how the weather and his finger plays in. So we'll see how it goes, but these are my divisional round picks right here. Seattle moving on, Bears moving on, Patriots and Bills moving on. We will have a Bears traveling to Seattle for the conference championship and the Bills heading to their division rival, Patriots, for the 3rd time this year. I think that sets up a lot of fireworks for that conference championship.